On this episode of Doing the Most, we're drinking some metal mead.
Yeah! Doing the most, doing the most, doing the most, doing the most is not it shows. Kids, let's toast. Doing the most, doing the most, doing the most, doing the most is great shit toast. Doing the most. Mead, wine, scenery, Bochet Braggot, Bochet Vikings blood. That is essence, carbonating, tasting, give by taste. Silicone airlines. Doing the most, doing the most, doing the most, doing the most is not it shows. Kids, let's toast. Doing the most, doing the most, doing the most, doing the most is great shit toast. Doing the most.
Hey there. So what, a year and a half, 2 years ago, we made a metal mead. We did a live stream where you invited a bunch of people to the live stream to choose metal themed ingredients for a mead. And then 2 weeks later, we brewed it on another live stream.
You did that.
Do you remember what's in here?
Coffee, smoked honey,
What kind of smoke?
tobacco.
It's pipe tobacco.
Pipe tobacco.
Pipe tobacco. There's a whole pound of some ridiculously high caffeinated coffee.
Death Wish?
Yeah, there was a Carolina or a ghost pepper.
Ghost pepper. There we go.
There was some dark malts. We used some chocolate malt or something like that.
Were there black limes?
There were black limes.
Black limes.
There were black limes in here.
Yeah.
Sounds scary.
Why? It doesn't.
You did this.
Just why?
You did this.
Just why?
It doesn't matter. We're drinking it now, years later. We were gonna shoot an episode about this last time we did Mead Stampede and just didn't get around to it. So now it's finally aged.
It needed that extra year.
Like a Gruyere. Faywood knows. This project begins with making one of the most metal of ingredients, the black lime. And black limes are an ingredient that I have mostly used culinarily, like in cooking, but I have come to really adore in fermented beverages. So to make black limes, I just
Stab them.
all with a knife and then put them in a
Dehydrator.
to remove all the liquid from the limes. These actually take about a full week in the dehydrator to become black limes. Set the dehydrator for fruits and vegetables and just leave it until they're done. You'll know they're done because they turn black and a little bit of this tarry stuff leaks out from them. Then it's time to get a mash type thing going for this. We decided to use some dark grains for this. So it's very much in the spirit of kind of like a braggot a little bit because of these dark grains. Now, the community had decided that we should use chocolate malt because it's nice and dark and rich, but I found
Midnight wheat.
which is apparently less bitter while still bringing some of those chocolate flavors. So that's what we used. We also used some dark roasted barley. And of course, those lovely black limes. We need to access the inside of those limes, so I used a
Mallet to smash them up.
and just kind of, coarsely. You don't want to really grind them into like a powder, but just mash them up enough that you can get access to some of that tarry, bitter stuff on the inside. Once we were up to about 160 degrees, I just dumped all of that in and let it sit for about an hour. Just popped it in the oven on the warming setting, which would keep it around that temperature for that hour-long mash. Once that was done, I pulled it out of the oven and strained out all of the grains and the black limes. So I was just working with a nice, dark, malty liquid. And I just put that on to boil to make sure we sterilize it. And time to add our
Death Wish.
coffee. It's highly caffeinated and very, very strong coffee. So we're going to use the whole pound of that. And we're going to do this cold brew style. So I'm splitting it into two parts across these two 1 gallon emptied out jugs. And once we've brought that wort up to a boil, we're going to go ahead and chill that down by putting it into an ice bath. And when we got down a little bit closer to room temperature, I funneled it into our jugs so we could make some cold brew coffee with it. That sat in the refrigerator for 24 hours. Then I had to strain the coffee out, so I poured it through some cheesecloth and got all the liquid separated from the coffee grounds. And then we needed to smoke some honey, and David and I did this on a live stream. In the foreground, we were Bochetting honey to make it nice and dark. And then in the background, we smoked some honey with tobacco smoke, because the community felt like this mead a little bit needed to taste like the air around a metal concert. And so I went down to the local smoke shop and asked them what kind of pipe tobacco they'd recommend, and they sold me this bag. And so over the course of an hour, we put it in the smoker attachment on my grill and ran the smoke up and across the honey to infuse it with tobacco. And I can tell you, sitting right next to this, we were experiencing the effects of the nicotine. So this is a little bit of don't try this at home warning. This was probably not good for our health. Our Bochet honey also had completed, so we cooled it down with some water, mixed that in, and then we combined that with the cold brew coffee wort mixture. David took a nice whiff of the smells coming off of that. It smelled pretty good. And then our pipe tobacco smoked honey goes in. And of course, this was done with buckwheat honey. Nice and dark, nice and warm, very perfumey, very smoky. It definitely picked up a lot of the aromatics and flavors from that smoke. A little stir, stir, stir. And obviously we have to add some
Ghost pepper
to this to give it a little bit of spice, a little bit of heat. I think that's pretty metal. And then we topped it off around 5 gallons. Our yeast for this brew was
Kvike Hornendahl,
which many agreed was the most metal Kvike strain we could think of. So that went right in. We got a hydrometer reading and placed it under an upturned mug to start fermentation. This is what it looked like the next day. Yummy, delicious, very gross about a week later. And before we moved it to primary, we decided it also needed some
vanilla bean paste.
So we poured a bunch of that right in. And we also put in some oat chips that were soaked in
Whiskey.
So a nice bourbony, whiskey-rich oaking. Lid goes back on, and we let that sit for another couple of weeks. As you can see, we stopped just shy of 1.000, and this looked super gross. But we trudged ahead. It was time to get that into secondary. So we just started our siphon and ran it off into a carboy for bulk aging. I took a little taste and realized it was going to need a little bit of sweetening and a little bit of thickening, so I added some erythritol and some maltodextrin. So this should sweeten it up just a little bit, thicken it up to improve that kind of rich, beery mouthfeel that we were going for. It kind of dried out a little bit too much with all the honey that was in there. So we just put that into a Pyrex container, popped it in the microwave to heat up, and then we also added the rest of the vanilla bean paste because it just needed more vanilla. So the full 2 ounces went in there. And then our maltodextrin erythritol goes in once it is warmed up and kind of homogeneous, so we didn't get any clumps or chunks that were floating in there. And I sealed that back up. Then a short few weeks later, I bottled and bottle conditioned half the batch, the other half went into a keg, and that was that. Time for a tasting. All right, let's open it up. Wow.
I didn't open that one before. Okay. That was the first time.
Yeah, I heard that in Dolby 6.1 surround sound too. It was real exceptional. Now, there was debate earlier on the nicotine content of this mead. So that's TBD. We're going to send a sample off to a Harvard lab to be analyzed by their best scientists. I like how you're not even opening the second bottle.
Beaker?
You are concerned about the nicotine content now.
Now I'm more a little worried.
On a scale from 0 to 11, how metal do you think this mead is going to be?
It looks pretty brutal right now. It looks pretty brutal.
I don't know what that means.
Well, it's like a 10, 10 and a half, it looks like.
Wow.
Yeah.
Would setting it on fire make it more metal?
Yes.
I don't have the ability to do that.
Oh, this
Unlike anything I've ever smelled in an alcoholic beverage.
In an alcoholic beverage.
No, it definitely smells like some concerts I've been to.
yes. Accurate. That's accurate. This smells like a death metal concert.
And that's what we were going for, so I feel good about that.
It really
Yeah,
was.
Yep.
very potent smelling.
It smells chocolatey. You can smell the perfumey notes of the tobacco smoke.
Absolutely.
The coffee's there.
The coffee is
Oh, yeah.
really present. Almost like a gas station coffee, you know? Not like a...
I swear I can smell heat. I don't know if I can. Am I actually detecting that in my nose? But like, something almost burns a little bit.
Well, bottoms up, ladies and gents.
All right.
It's a lot smoother than it smells.
That's a roller coaster.
That is quite a roller coaster.
First impressions, Rob. Speechless.
Yeah. I think I've got the tobacco in the aftertaste. Like, tobacco is lingering.
I feel like I got punched in the face by the black limes. The black limes are there. There's no hiding the black limes. They're there.
Yeah, there's definitely a tartness that can, and a tannic quality that I think can only be attributed to black lime.
So I've never had black lime, so I get all the other things like very in your face.
How does this compare to, I hesitate to use the word similar beer styles?
It's very complex. It's got a lot going on.
So on a scale from 0 to 11.
Oh, how metal is it?
Yeah.
So,
You heard it here first, folks.
there's that.
I don't like it.
No.
No.
Nope.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I feel like you could do this again and do it differently and have it come out awesome. Because I can taste that it could be awesome.
I think that the black limes were a huge mistake.
Mistake number 1.
And mistake number 2 was
Mistake number 2.
brewing this at all.
No. The smoke. Probably the smoke.
So let's score it. Let's score it on a 0 to 100 scale. Where would you place this?
10.
Yeah, I'm at like a 15, maybe.
Probably like a 15 out of 100.
15.
Listen, this was an experiment from the start. This is an experimental I don't know what to call this. This is an experiment in the glass, and it came out interesting. I don't think it's as bad as you guys are making out to be. This is like 27 out of 100 territory.
Oh, okay.
We're in this, all right. This is like okay.
My mistake. Thank you, Rob, Faye, Jake, for being a part of this moment in mead making history.
A for effort.
A for effort. I'm sorry. So you can follow Faywood Mead on YouTube. All of her details will be in the description. Join our Discord. We're all there. We're all on the Discord server. Follow me on Instagram. It's over here somewhere, covering this guy up right now. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, etc., etc., etc. Probably don't mix black limes and tobacco smoke into a single braggot, and drink and smoke responsibly. Until next time, America. God bless you.
Bye.